Common sense? Something so rare these days. It might as well be a superpower. Well, when you need common sense, you've come to the right place. It's the Illogical Podcast, featuring the superminds of the Seeker of Karens, Mindless Gonzo, the Real Red Medic, Blistered Blood, the totally original OC, Mutant Yoshi, and your host, the ranter who's still waiting for that copyright claim from Viacom, T-Bone 2004. Now, let's have some fun, kittens.
Is it Groundhog Day already? I mean, come on. Well, with that all in mind, welcome once again to the Illogical Podcast. And by the way, give it up for Snes giving us that wonderful introduction sequence. And as you know right now, we're in the middle of a winter storm. Yay! I'm literally recording this in a block of ice. But with all that prospect in mind, I can feel warm knowing I got my beloved panel with me right now. So let's go through them, shall we? First of all, as Sania has introduced him as Mindless Gonzo.
Hello?
Mutant Yoshi.
Nice to see you.
Oh my god, really? Batman and Robin. Now, before we let Mutant Yoshi run with his puns, we were going to have Blister Blood, but unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond our control, he is unable to join us right now. However, I have a backup plan. You see, back in 2019, I had what was known as the Perfect Fifth. He was the Perfect Fifth. And for some reason, he was sent away. But I've decided, you know what? Who cares now? I'm bringing him back, whether people like it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, making his triumphant return to TILPC, the Blind Bard, my video editor.
Hello, 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 everybody. It is good to be back here on the Illogical Podcast. How is everybody doing tonight?
To be honest, it's great to have you back.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back here in the virtual studio.
Not the same without our engineer, I'll tell you that.
Oh my god, yes. I mean, how long has it been? It must have been forever ago in a day, but honestly, I am genuinely excited to partake in tonight's discussion here in the Illogical Podcast.
Glad to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I also want to thank everybody that is in the lounge chat room right now for being here, because let's face it, without you guys, this show wouldn't be happening. So you all are the reason TILPC exists, just as much as my panel and my video editor is to the podcast. But nonetheless, we got to get this show rolling, so let's get the show rolling. How's everybody been doing these past couple of days in this crazy world we call life?
Oh, trust me, I've been loving the cold weather. But that's me.
I'm loving the cold weather as well. As a matter of fact, we had a bit of cold weather today. I mean, honestly, the winter time is my favorite time of year because, you know, you get to layer up and put on jackets and beanies and things of that nature. Things you normally would not wear in a hot summer day.
Definitely.
Exactly.
One of my favorite things is just enjoying the cold breeze. I mean, yesterday I did some shopping and I actually got to walk around my neighborhood a little bit to familiarize myself, and I was enjoying the cold breeze. I mean, I got myself some accessories for my Nintendo Switch, and it was quite an enjoyable experience, I'll tell you that much. I mean,
I know the feeling.
Oh god, yes. I mean, yes, I took an Uber maybe twice to go get a haircut. And then I walked to get lunch, and then I went to the store, took an Uber that way, and then...
You took an Uber. If only Blood were here. He is the Uber mesh.
Oh, Lord have mercy, here we go. But hey, what about you, Gonzo? How have you been doing these days?
Well, basically been keeping to myself, dealing with project after project and a few podcasts here and there.
Glad to see that I've added a little more weight to your back.
All the
But I-
weightier.
But I digress. I want to address something right now as far as the podcast goes. I know that we are the premier source for a ranting podcast and everything like that, but over the course of the past few months, I feel honestly that the ranting side of this has kind of exhausted itself, and we're kind of running on fumes here. So tonight, I figured we'd change things up a little bit. I want to discuss some current events that are going on in the world today, most notably in the gaming world.
And there's a
Interesting.
lot to be shared about recent goings on. I'm actually pretty
also.
excited about it. I mean, it's definitely a new chapter in the face of gaming as we know it.
Yeah. No.
Speaking
no one
of
knows what's gonna go on.
speaking of the Uber mesh,
What, you heard of me?
ladies
Well-
and gentlemen, we are now 5. And Bard, you are now the perfect 5th.
I am definitely the perfect fifth. Hey, welcome aboard, Blistered Blood. How are you
What?
doing tonight?
Why, thank you. Just been having a little bit of a stressful day, but you know, it is what it is.
Everything
that-
all right?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just asking. Everything all right?
Yeah, everything's fine.
That's
Excellent.
good.
Now, with that prospect in mind, now that Blood is here, we're going to talk about a little something that's been going on in the gaming world. We're not necessarily going to rant on it, but we're going to kind of throw some things out there. We're going to share our personal feelings about it. First on the list, has everybody heard about what's been going on with Microsoft as of late?
Oh,
You mean it's a-
how they bought Activision Blizzard?
You mean, or actually, more like this, how they pretty much bought the whole planet?
Mm-hmm.
They're not Mickey Mouse. They're not even close to Mickey Mouse.
There is
No.
Well, in case you probably don't know, recently Microsoft has announced that they have bought Activision Blizzard for an unknown amount of money, but it was a pretty big acquisition, so that pretty much means they've got control of Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, just to name a few. As if they didn't have enough on their plate as it is with Elder Scrolls, Doom, and whatever other things Bethesda has.
Which is actually kind of funny that you mentioned this, because Sony, in a weird way, ended up purchasing Bungie, which is responsible for the likes of the original Halo. You may also know this as well with Destiny.
Of course, we were going to discuss that as well.
Yeah, as
I
a matter
just
of fact.
realized
What-
They got Halo. What does this mean for the Halo series in general? Is it going to be on PlayStation instead of Xbox?
Well, I'll explain this. I hate to interrupt you, Blood, but I'll explain this to Mutant Yoshi. So, here's the thing about Halo. You're going to find this very interesting. For a while, Bungie did have the rights to Halo, but then Microsoft bought a 343 and basically said, you know what, we're also going to get Halo into our little inner circle, and now it's a Microsoft property.
Oh.
So technically speaking, Halo is a Microsoft property, even though it was originally from Bungie.
I see.
Hey, who knows? Maybe they may come up with their own version of a Halo killer. I don't know.
No.
It'd be kind of
Anything
interesting to see the Halo series actually make its way into PlayStation game consoles. I mean, Lord knows it's been an Xbox exclusive for many, many, many years, but
Over 20.
I know it's been pretty much an entire lifetime, and seeing this acquisition could open many doors in lots of aspects. A lot of people have had the pleasure of playing the Master Chief collection that's on Steam, and I know that you can also get that on Xbox. But with Sony's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, there's no telling if a Halo game will be making its way into a Sony PlayStation game console anytime soon.
or at the very least a Halo-esque anyway.
Well, that's true.
Well, let me go ahead and look into the TILPC Lounge right now. And apparently, according to Smash Productions, Halo is now owned by Microsoft and currently run by 343 Industries, of course. And Toast here says it was actually $68.7 billion.
Just for the acquisition alone. And that is definitely exciting. Because...
Now, here's the thing, though. Going over to Sony, having them buy Bungie, it now pales in comparison because Bungie was bought by Sony for $6.3 billion. So that's like a tenth of 68.7. So, holy cow.
That is definitely the acquisition.
You could say Microsoft is holding Activision ransom for $68.7 billion.
Oh, Lord.
Here we go.
To be fair, though, the whole thing about Sony trying to buy Bungie, it is kind of like Austin Powers in that Doctor is pretty much Microsoft looking at Sony doing, buy the bastard, see if I care.
Yeah, right.
Now here's the interesting little tidbit, though. You would think that if with Sony buying Bungie, you'd figure that Destiny would become a Sony exclusive to the PlayStation, but that is not the case at all. Bungie is going to remain independent, and they're actually going to make their game still remain cross-platform.
For pretty much.
So it's a possibility we could possibly see Halo on the PlayStation.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities to see these titles actually branch out to these different game consoles and manufacturers, because it will actually open the door to an entirely different audience of people who have had PlayStation for a number of years and never really had the chance to try out the Halo series or anything that is from that manufacturer, because now with that acquisition, anything is definitely possible in that aspect. And I, for one, I'm genuinely excited to see this, because who knows? You know, maybe sometime there might actually be a multi-platform Halo game for all the major platforms, for every single one of us to actually sit down and enjoy. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
I am curious to see where this all goes.
Me too.
Well, right now, you got to take a look at the prospect of what Xbox is doing. Like, based on what I saw from Toast, it's like they now have StarCraft, they have World of Warcraft, they have Overwatch, they have Call of Duty, and it's like those are going to become Xbox exclusive. But you also got to factor this in. Some of those games are actually cross-platform as well. Like, for instance, Overwatch.
Oh yeah.
You've also got to factor in the fact that there is still a thing as Steam, and honestly, this is the saving grace for all of this, because of the simple fact that we don't want to have another console war. I mean, a lot of us survived the Nintendo versus Sega days.
Yeah, I was actually a
That we
kid when that
have.
was still relatively relevant. 8 bits, 16 bits. Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Oh, my bad. 3.6 billion.
Wow, that is
All right,
an
thank you,
investment.
Toast.
Oh, speaking of Sega, I take it you heard the news, T-Bone.
What news?
The news that Sega is now retiring from the arcade business.
Such a shame.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's something else we were also going to discuss also. Oh, man. We're kind of flying through these topics right now,
I
folks, so
know,
bear
but-
with us.
It's interesting because this once proud company, originally known as Service Games, which is actually a portmanteau, say, Service, Games, was actually known for their arcade cabinets way back in the day. Then they got into the foray of game consoles with the Sega Master System, the Sega Genesis, or the Sega Mega Drive if you're in Europe or in Australia, and the Sega Saturn, and the Sega Dreamcast, which was their final hurrah of game consoles. So, hearing the news that Sega is no longer delving into arcade cabinets or arcade games is it's really sad. It's kind of bittersweet. It's like that final hurrah and that final chapter in the Sega storyline, because now they are mainly now a software developer now. So and it's weird because if you asked me about 30 years ago, or rather, if you told me 30 years ago that Sega was going to be making games for Nintendo consoles, I would have told you, you're out of your damn mind. I don't see Sonic the Hedgehog being in my Nintendo game console, and yet here we are.
Yet, look where we are.
Yeah, exactly. Now we've got Sonic the Hedgehog, we got Super Monkey Ball, and we got a few other Sega titles on Nintendo game consoles. And it's it wasn't something I would expect when I was growing up, but, with the acquisition and them just now being a software developer just tells you everything.
Now, what's really funny about all that, Bard?
What's that?
And everybody here on the panel can probably agree with me on this. There's one game that was slated to be one of the Destiny killers from Sega that ironically was not on any Nintendo console unless you were outside of Japan.
Oh, yeah?
What's that?
Does anybody remember a certain MMO called Phantasy Star Online?
I've heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
I've played it.
Okay, so get this. The original was on the Nintendo GameCube, but where was Phantasy Star Online 2? Did it ever show up on the Wii, the Wii U, the Switch? I don't think so.
No, it hasn't.
Nope.
So how is it that Sega, one of the biggest developers in the world, who wound up on Nintendo consoles, never released one of their flagship games for Nintendo consoles to compete with the likes of Destiny, Elder Scrolls, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV?
Not sure.
What happened, Sega?
Guess
What
they
happened?
didn't have any big plans like that.
Well, to give them credit, there were a few things that Sega came up with that were genuinely ahead of its time. Does anybody remember the Sega Channel and how
Oh, yeah.
you were
Yep.
able to play select games through your local cable provider? And this was long before we got things like downloadable content or being able to purchase a digital copy of your favorite game through either the PlayStation Store or the Microsoft Store or Nintendo's eShop, or whatever the case. And it was definitely ahead of its time. If
Yeah,
and
kinda
heck,
like Nintendo's broadcast satellite system in Japan.
oh yeah, and that was only exclusive in Japan. It's
Yeah.
kind of that same aspect of things. Nintendo, or with Sega, and one thing that comes to mind was the lock-on technology when they introduced Sonic and Knuckles, which allowed you to stack a game on top of it and actually play additional levels within Sonic the Hedgehog 3 that you would not be able to normally play without Sonic and Knuckles. So
Now
it's sort of a
Knuckles
predecessor
and
to
Sonic
downloadable content as well. So it was definitely ahead of its time.
That's funny you say that, Bard. It seems as though Sega was like the innovator of DLC.
Yeah, technically
Before
they kind of were.
Before microtransactions were ever a thing, Sega was doing it first. It looks like Sega had a one-up on everybody.
Well,
Sega
they were.
still does what Nintendo don't.
Well, think about it this way. They were genuinely ahead of their time with some of the services that they provided and some of the technologies like the lock-on technology. I would have loved to have seen that being utilized a little bit more outside of Sonic and Knuckles, and then being able to play Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and either play as Knuckles from Angel Island all the way to the Death Egg Zone from start to finish. And it's probably the first, if not the only, Sonic game that actually allowed you to save your progress And while battery backups was certainly not a new thing during that time, having the option to play additional levels and playable characters was definitely something that was way ahead of its time, way before
Well,
downloadable content.
well, you got to remember backup batteries and everything like that. That wasn't something that Sega came up with. Oh no. We can go as far back as 1986 with The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, Nintendo. Nintendo
Mhm,
was the one that came up with the battery backups, but also at the same time, they were also known for their password systems. And if any of you have played any game from LJN, you guys know exactly what I am talking about, and the frustration of a very very long password.
Oh,
And
Bart,
yeah,
you kind of just gave me an idea with that whole expanding the lock-on feature to more games.
oh yeah, what's that?
Oh
Okay,
no.
so you know Mega Man the Wily Wars, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so just imagine Sega making a lock-on cart, putting it in, and when you put Wily Wars on it, you start playing Mega Man 4 through 6 in 16 bits, in addition to 1 through 3.
Oh, that would be very
Now
interesting.
that would be something else.
Well, at least we got them. We got the Mega Man collections for that.
Oh yeah,
Volumes 1,
definitely.
Volumes 2, and not to mention the Mega Man X collection of Volumes 1 and 2, respectively.
Oh
Thank
god,
you.
yes.
You just
But we
reminded me
don't,
that I need to go get that game sometime.
we don't talk about Mega Man X7 though.
No,
No, nobody talks
game
about
never
Mega Man
happened.
X7. No,
What?
that never happened.
Never happened.
You mean?
Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to this whole thing regarding Microsoft and Sony trying to create another console war. It seems as though both sides are saying, "Whoa, hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second." Apparently, according to Toast, I'm looking at TILPC chat right now. Apparently, Phil Spencer came forward and said this. We had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I can confirm our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry, and we value our relationship. Now, that sounds exactly like what Bungie said to everybody on their Twitter when Sony acquired them. So I think they're trying to say something. I think they're trying to say, we don't want to start another console war.
No, we certainly
It
don't.
sounds exactly like it.
Yeah.
Considering the fact Destiny plays like Call of Duty in a way.
Yeah.
With the difference that the player base at Destiny is not nearly as toxic as the Call of Duty player base.
I beg to differ with you on that, Bard. Look at the Trials of Osiris community.
Okay, I will definitely take you up on that.
Well, it actually begs the question. With Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard and Sony buying Bungie, it just makes me think, what's next? Is Nintendo going to buy Sega?
That actually would not be a bad idea. Also,
That
Doggo.
wouldn't surprise me. That you know, now that Mutant Yoshi actually mentions it, that would not surprise me if we were to receive news of Nintendo's acquisition of Sega and making them a subdivision to Nintendo's software development. And who knows, maybe Sonic and Mario will be doing more than just going to the Olympics. Maybe I don't know, a crossover between both Sonic and Mario, and it would be kind of interesting if that actually did happen, but it's too soon to tell.
The
Well,
possibilities are endless.
Consider the fact that, like, we've already had them at the Olympics, and we've had them in Smash Brothers at least 2 times now.
Mm-hmm.
It is high time for Nintendo to actually consider buying Sega. If that were the case, then yes, I would say we are on the verge of a Mario and Sonic crossover game before too long. And I think after the likes of Mario Odyssey, I think it's high time.
That would be kind of
Yeah.
interesting. But also, there's a lot of possibilities with that as well. If there was to be a Sonic and Mario crossover, we could actually go about it as a 2D platformer, or a 2D side-scroller rather, but with the same graphics that you would find in the new Super Mario games on the Wii, Wii U, and Nintendo Switch. But also, you could also treat it as a 3D platformer, like the likes of Super Mario Odyssey or Super Mario Sunshine, where you get to play as either Mario or Sonic. And it kind of sounds like something that you would see like with Super Mario Z, because that too was kind of an interesting series when that was
good
popular.
Lord. Oh, good Lord. You know something?
Mhm.
What's that?
Nintendo and Sega would have to honor Newgrounds on that. Oh, excuse me.
Well, think about it. I mean, if Bowser and Eggman actually teamed up, or if they joined forces to take over Sonic's world and then take over the Mushroom Kingdom and make that into like a series of games, that would be quite interesting, especially if Nintendo is at the helm, because Sega has a rep of rushing these things out, and sometimes the product is not that great. So if Nintendo were to take direction in a Sonic and Mario crossover, where both Sonic and Mario have to defeat Dr. Eggman and Bowser in like maybe a 3-arc game series, would be rather interesting. I would want to see that, but only because that is something purely of fantasy. That is like childhood dream right there to see
Oh, and
both
on
Mario
top
and
of
Sonic.
And
Yeah?
on top of that, you can just imagine the whole Mario gameplay, but with the Sonic cinematics that Sega tends to make.
Yeah.
Good Lord. And the only problem is, though, there's one major problem.
What's that?
Who do we get to voice Mario? Charles Martinet or Chris Pratt? I mean, come on, Chris Pratt is voicing everything now.
He is, but Jack Black is also going to be Bowser in the Illumination Super Mario movie. So who knows? I mean, I actually want to give that a chance, because we've already had one Mario movie nearly 30 years ago, and
It wasn't that great.
yeah,
Ba-bomb.
it certainly did. And Nintendo has become rather protective of their IPs, because Mario is technically their Mickey Mouse. So seeing an animated film based on Mario is something that I'm going to be I'm actually scared but excited about at the same time, because who knows what kind of direction they're going to take with it. And since this is animation, it could be just about anything. It could be aimed at kids and adults, but it could also either be really, really well written, or it could be something that would just tank and then force Nintendo to even be more protective of their IPs. That's why we haven't seen another Mario show. That's why we haven't seen another Mario movie or anything like that involving Mario, because of how protective Nintendo is of their intellectual properties.
Now, hold on a second there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about this when it comes to movie adaptations of video games. Take into account the fact that we've had at least two video game movies come along and break the mold, and those, of course, are Detective Pikachu and, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog. By the way, never forget, April of this year, we're getting Sonic 2, and it's looking like it's going to destroy all expectations.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be seeing that.
I'm looking forward to that one myself. I mean,
and of course, yes, Smash, you have to bring up the obvious, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny you mentioned that he mentions this, because like one of the better Mortal Kombat movies that I have seen as of recently was in fact from Warner Brothers, this being Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. It is absolutely boss. Okay.
Ooh.
Yes, without a doubt, the animated movies are awesome. But just for the memes, I don't mean to be a meme lord or anything like that, but come on, Blister Blood. We all know that Ultra Instinct Shaggy can beat Scorpion easily.
Filthy memer.
I actually saw him do that. We saw him
Oh my
just reach
goodness.
through the WB logo and pull him in.
Man.
Like I said, filthy memers.
You gotta love Scooby's smug look when it happens.
Man, let me tell you, but it's
Shit.
truly looking bright in the world of gaming. And yes, I do agree that Detective Pikachu and the very first Sonic the Hedgehog movie were definitely breaking the mold of things like Warcraft or the 1990s Mortal Kombat or the Super Mario Brothers movie with Dennis Hopper in it. But if you think about it, even comic book hero movies were kind of like that. In the 1990s, whenever there was a comic hero movie, it would not meet expectations because more often than not, it was not respectful or, not respecting the original source material. But now that, Disney has acquired Marvel and we've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they have definitely turned it around and made it its own thing. So why not video games? Video games have story arcs of their own, and you can work with those story arcs. And it's not just, the age-old damsel in distress and save the princess and, and they all celebrate. I mean...
Now, I hate to interrupt you there, Bard. I
Sure.
really, really hate to interrupt you, Bard, but you just made me remember something.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
On the subject of Sony buying Bungie, there was talks a couple months back that apparently Bungie made a deal with Viacom to actually do a Destiny television series.
Oh, wow.
I didn't hear about
How
that.
long ago was that?
Yeah.
This is about, I want to say around the time Beyond Light was officially released last year. This was also around
Okay,
time when Luke
okay.
Smith announced that he was actually leaving the development team of Bungie to go and do like I'm guessing Bungie media development and everything, and they had mentioned that they were working with Viacom about making a show. But now with Sony owning Bungie, I think that's going to turn around and go over to Sony's markets.
Very well might.
Who knows? And not only this, but I actually wanted to bring this up, and this was something that I alluded to in, I think it was in one of the chats around here, I forget.
Go ahead.
There was actually one series that's actually going to be making a bit of a comeback at some point during this year. I can't say for certain, but Interplay may have had a hand in this in bringing back, quite honestly, an old favorite of ours, Earthworm Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. All the yes.
Like I said, I can't say for certain when this will happen, but I just know it was slated for this year. When? I don't know.
I hope they include the theme song from the cartoon.
Can't say for certain,
That's true.
but from what I've seen in that little teaser trailer of theirs, it looks pretty promising.
I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, I remember seeing the original animated series to Earthworm Jim, so the possibilities are definitely endless. And in fact, since we're talking about the transition of video game adaptations of movies and TV series, there is one that I am genuinely looking forward to, and it's going to be debuting in about 3 weeks. And it's the Cuphead Show, and that's going to be a Netflix exclusive. So,
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I want to see that actually, because I've heard that they're going back to the old Inkwell style of animation, and I am like that tickles me in an.
Actually, I've seen
Okay, wow, that was just out of nowhere.
Sorry,
I've
that was
seen
me.
the
My bad.
animation of the Netflix show, and it looks more like a Flash animation than animations of old.
well, they're basically going to, from what I understand, they're paying homage to Rubber Hose animation, albeit with modern. I'm going to say it's modern animation, albeit the cartoony style from the 1930s is definitely being paid homage to, and I'm looking forward to it because it was pretty big when Cuphead first debuted in 2017.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and it's a huge love letter to Fleischer-style animation from the 1930s. So seeing Cuphead and Mugman going on different adventures for 11-minute episodes, I'm really excited about this because I've seen the trailer, I've seen previews of it, and it does not look very disappointing at all. In fact, I look forward to seeing that. And for those who are curious, the Cuphead Show debuts on Friday, February 18th, 2022. So save the date, mark your calendars, and if you've got Netflix and want to chill, check out the Cuphead Show.
I see what you did there.
Now let's not go into advertising right away. We don't have any exclusive deals yet. Bard.
No, we're not quite there yet, but that's just like a friendly reminder to everybody listening in.
Now, let's pump the brakes a little bit because I want to say one thing about the Cuphead Show.
What's that?
TILPC is not sponsored, by the way.
Yes, Mutant Yoshi, I just said that.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Anyways, I want to say one little thing based on the animation I've seen. I honestly hope and pray that nobody decides to Ralph Bakshi that stuff.
Oh. I know what he's talking about.
No, nobody. We don't need another Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures and another John Crickfalusi.
No.
Yeah, he is quite the controversial individual.
I'm thinking about doing a video about Ralph Bakshi, the Ren and Stimpy Show, and John Crickfalusi for a while. I bet that's sometime down the road.
I actually had the pleasure of meeting Ralph Bakshi at a private screening at the Alamo Draft House a few years back with a friend of mine, and it was quite the experience. We got to see some of his animated films.
Now, here's a question. Is he exactly what people describe him as, a living cartoon?
He kind of is. Man,
Like,
very animated personality.
Like the funniest voice you could ever hear on a person. It's like, what? Are you a literal cartoon character?
Probably is.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite an experience to meet him, and then a little Q&A at the end of the films that we saw when I was... this was like many years back, of course, but all the same, having that pleasure was definitely exciting, to say the least, in regards to that. But all the same, I'm really excited to see what this year brings us with these recent goings-on in the world of gaming, especially with what we've discussed earlier with Activision, Blizzard, and Bungie, and of course the up-and-coming Sonic the Hedgehog film and the Cuphead show, which is slated in 3 weeks from now. So I'm really excited about that.
There is something that I am wondering, though.
What's that?
I got something to wonder too, but first, T-Bone goes.
I'm gonna go ahead and let Gonzo have this in just a moment, but I want to say one thing. I'm honestly hoping and praying, because I said this on Facebook earlier, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I want to see Nintendo buy Sega. And as far as media and intellectual properties go, I think there's no question about it. Viacom, if you can hear me right now, heed my words. Buy Sega immediately, because we do not need them getting bought by the likes of Sony or Disney. It cannot happen. It must not happen, because let's face it, you've got both the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, The Adventures of Super Mario Brothers 3, alongside The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Sat AM, Sonic Underground. You've got all the video game properties of the 90s on Paramount Plus. It's time to buy Sega and Sonic. Get on it. Get with Nintendo. Make some deals. We do not want to see Sonic being bought by Sony or Disney.
Oh, yeah. That would be a very sad day if that actually did happen.
Especially not Disney.
Oh god,
No.
yeah.
Now, with that in mind, Gonzo, what was you going to say?
With all the acquisitions and everything, some people I ended up hearing about were hoping that, hey, with Microsoft buying up the Activision and Blizzard, those games underneath Activision and Blizzard have been ignored or neglected or have been shipped out, incomplete and all that. Hopefully Microsoft will bring light to these or get these all fixed up. But my main worry is that even going to happen, or is just Microsoft is going to own these companies, but the companies still have free reign, which means they're just going to still shovel out piles of crap with loot boxes and DLC and bugs out the wazoo.
Oh
Hold
yeah.
on. Wait. They're not loot boxes. They're surprise mechanics.
Yeah. Whatever.
Please.
Queen of England, I'm the Queen of England, what's your excuse? But anyways, because yes, it's a huge thing, but will it make a difference in the quality of the games that are going to be put out in the future, and of the games that are currently out now, but have to be patched up or continue to be patched up and have new content put out through them, and so on and so forth?
Oh my
Or is it just going to be, they're just, we own you, but you can still be the sleaze bags that's going to make gamers fucking rage because your guys aren't competent.
We shall see in the near future, Gonzo.
We shall
For now-
see.
For now, though, I think it's best we just sit back, enjoy whatever games we want to play, and to be honest, we need to be glad that we're not still in the 90s dealing with which is better, Super Nintendo or Sega.
Oh
Me
yeah.
personal-
Lucky you who had both.
If I'd be surprised if there's still any sort of console war left, because with the past 2 holiday shopping seasons, I thought it would have already been died out completely because of scarcity of materials needed to make these consoles, hardware to make the consoles, annoying ass scalpers taking up all stock and marking them up 500%, making you having to sell both your kidneys to get them, and just the headaches that have been brought on by these complications, making people like either you or me harder to get a hold of a console at all.
Now, this is my personal feeling, Gonzo. Have always gone black. And by that I mean I've always picked the black console over the colored console. So suffice to say, I've always been a Sega kid. Always have been, always will be. My version of Mortal Kombat is better than yours, Nintendo. My version had blood.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually had a Sega Genesis when I was a kid.
Abacab.
Meanwhile, I'm just hearing how everybody is enjoying or fanboying over Sony over Nintendo and Xbox, while me being broke and in such an area where trying to get a hold of them is kind of hard. Can't even share that exact sentiment. I'm only going to be stuck on PC for now.
That's not
And
a
an
bad
Xbox
thing.
360 that's outdated, and a PlayStation 2 that's also so outdated, it might as well be legal to drive.
Well, here's the thing though. Believe it or not, the PlayStation 2 is actually one of the best, if not the best, that Sony has ever released. Because when you look at some of the games that were released, Blister Blood can probably agree with me on this, there are a few that exceed all expectations. We have the likes of Tekken 5. We have the likes of Final Fantasy 12. And of course, Blister Blood, you probably know where I'm going with this.
Go ahead.
The game that was released on PlayStation 2 that might as well have been a PlayStation 3 title based on its benchmark graphics and everything that pushed the PlayStation 2 beyond its means. I'm, of course, talking about the grand champion of racing games on PlayStation 2, Gran Turismo 4. Best one of all.
Oh, man.
I'd be hard pressed to say otherwise, but for my money, when I first got started with the PlayStation 2, it was Gran Turismo 3.
Oh, by the way, a little bit off topic, but on topic as to what we were discussing earlier. I believe I have something that would put the console wars of old to rest.
Well, I was talking about the console wars of current, but okay.
Yeah, let's have it. Oh, yeah.
All
Sonic
right, what are we looking at
SNES
here?
update. And we're seeing this here in
That's
the
the-
chat. Wow.
That is one that is actually gaining traction right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
The Sonic's Super Nintendo update.
Yeah, that's actually a thing that's really happening right now.
And it
Well.
works on real hardware.
Oh, wow. The question
Well.
is, though, because of Sega's blast processing technology, how would that translate over to the Super Nintendo? Unless they changed the coding on how the game mechanics work on...
They
Yeah.
brought the blast processing over to the Super Nintendo.
Oh my gosh.
Many of these gamers tinkered around with these things and made them do things that nobody else have even imagined. In fact, I ended up finding out a while ago, probably in the last month of 2021, that somebody reverse engineered a game that never has been ported to the PC, but its previous game did, Driver 2. And it ended up, somebody reverse engineered it. It was a PlayStation 1 era game, and it had 2 discs, and somebody reverse engineered it, and it's now available for a PC. And I'm like, if these people could be able to pull that stuff off, I would love to see what else they could do with the likes of Sonic for the Super Nintendo stuff.
It would be very interesting to say the least.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that some of these developers actually grew up with these games, so they're much older now, and they have studied the ins and outs and have tested hardware limitations, but also worked around those hardware limitations to make these things happen. So it's quite innovative. It is definitely a good time to be a gamer here in the 2020s. I mean, that's my take on it. I mean, and it's also very exciting to see this Sonic the Hedgehog on the Super Nintendo. I mean, again, if you were to tell me that when I was a kid with the Sega versus Nintendo wars, I probably would have told you that's absurd. That's not going to happen. And, you know, who would have guessed that now, you know, years later, a lifetime later, seeing it happen, I'm definitely, the inner kid in me is definitely eating those words. I can tell you that right now. I mean, my goodness.
Sega does what Nintendo does.
Now, with that in mind, I just want to say one thing in regards to that Sonic on Super Nintendo.
What's that?
It sure is a lot better than Sonic 4 on the Super Nintendo.
Oh,
I see
that
what
was
you mean.
just
Oof.
awful.
Yes.
I am going to need some proof of this. I've never heard this happened.
Gonzo, I will share it with you later, unless Mutant Yoshi's already got it.
Oh,
Yes,
just
get that.
Bootleg.
Just send it over. I can take a look at it later.
You could say that Sega does what Nintendo do.
Oh yeah, smash right there. By the way, I also want to say this on that note. Thanks so much for being active in the chat tonight, guys. You guys are awesome.
Oh, definitely.
Again.
Thank you very much for those of you who have actively participated. You guys are genuinely amazing. And if it wasn't for you, we would not have this amazing podcast to share with you.
Exactly.
Especially
And we
some
thank
of you
you,
who have been
guys.
around since the very beginning of T-Bone 2004, as far back as 2008.
Oh, that's a long, long time ago. But you know what?
Looking at you, girla.
Yeah, we are definitely looking at you.
Yep.
But on that note, I think we need to pump the brakes as far as gaming goes and acquisitions and all that crazy stuff and memes. Mutant Yoshi.
We will
T-Bone.
never end the memes.
But
T-Bone.
anyway,
What's up?
I was just saying T-Bone.
Oh. Anyway, I think it's time. We pump the brakes on all this and focus on what really makes this show what it is. With that in mind, Sania, introduce Mindless Gonzo.
All around the US, from Florida to California, there's too many of them out there. But here, there's only one. It's the Karen of the month. So, who's it gonna be, Gonzo?
Welcome to today's Karen of the Month. We have a dude as our Karen story this time, for self-entitlement is an equal opportunity employer, and we're all for equality here at the Illogical Podcast. I think. And we even have video of this incident. We're gonna witness a male Karen in the wild. Buckle up, this will be fun. Welcome to Fairfield, Connecticut, 50 miles north of New York City. It's a relaxed beach town with quite a college feel to it, home of 61,512 people. But one of its several businesses in town became the center of quite a tirade that occurred one Saturday morning in January, on the 22nd to be precise. At the Fairfield location of Robeck's Fruit Smoothie Shop, 48-year-old James Iannazzo ordered a smoothie for his son. Sadly, his son suffers a common peanut allergy. The smoothie somehow triggered the son's allergy. According to staff, he ordered a smoothie with no peanut butter, but didn't specify about having or ordering for someone with a peanut allergy, which would avoid cross-contamination, thus setting off the allergic reaction. But would that small detail matter to a Karen? Trying to put logic into an argument with a Karen is like trying to stop a truck with a Nerf gun. It'll only make the pain worse. Especially when you have kids involved. Their kids involved. It'll be adding more fuel to a bomb ready to explode. James stormed into this Robex, demanding to know who made the smoothie. When the store's 4 only employees that day couldn't answer, the bomb went off. And someone, knowing what could happen, hit record to watch a father go Hiroshima. Thankfully, the phone recorded the tirade that would later go viral, despite TikTok taking her video down and suspending her account for a while. And that same phone recording would be Exhibit A for the courts. Let's break it down, bit by bit. Alright, he's coming in
Please don't
swinging.
yell at us.
Don't videotape me.
You have no room to yell at us.
I want to speak to the person who made this drink. Is that you?
No, it
we
wasn't
don't know
me.
who made it. Okay,
I
bye.
want to speak to the
Bye. Okay, you.
Yes, the calling card of the Karens. The infamous words every upset customer speaks to scare cashiers into submission. I want to speak to the manager. Looks like he ain't getting his way with these high school losers.
stupid ignorant high school kids.
His words, not mine. So what will he do? What a hellacious over-the-shoulder fastball! Because nothing says incriminate me like assault. And what a cavalcade of foul fucking language. Thank God his son isn't here to hear how naughty his father is right now.
Who are you?
Immigrant loser.
What?
Whoa, out of left field, an immigrant loser insult. That's not going to bode well with the judges. And that did cost him. He's now charged with imitation based on bigotry or bias. Oh, it looks like he's not done yet.
Racist piece of
He seems to be barging his way into the employee area with no success. That's criminal trespass. And now with the verbal tirade now finished, that's strike 3, breach of peace. He is out of here. The story would end here, But we would neglect the juicy bits of this Karen smoothie. Police report sometime after he left the store, he turned himself in, and many copies and screen captures of the video circulated on all social media platforms, especially a posting on Twitter when the shortened version of it reached 3.4 million viewers. You cannot hide. It spread enough that people ID James as a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch, the investment management and wealth management division of Bank of America. They saw the tirade enough to issue a statement via spokesperson that read, "Our company does not tolerate behavior of this kind. This individual is no longer employed at our firm. He is banned from this ballpark." His lawyer, Frank J., I'm having a hard time saying his last name, II, insisted his client was in the right to not have peanuts in the order, but was in the wrong about using such outlandish insults, saying James is not racist, and that he deeply regrets this conduct, especially since one of the workers, who just arrived in between the tirade and a smoothie and recorded the viral video, told NBC Connecticut one of the workers who bore the blunt of the rant is emotionally scarred from it. James Iannazzo is due in court February 7th. A lesson to be learned to stop you from becoming a Karen and winding up having your life gone in a flash. It's worth an extra second to double check your order. To be clear, your order is going towards someone with a food allergy, so that extra care is put into it. And when it all goes wrong, to avoid letting your instincts and anger take over, making you say some pretty racist shit. Because we're in an era where people record everything, especially when shit happens, as they want the unbiased, truthful eyes of the camera to clear them and others of wrongdoing and lawsuits. And we're also in the era of social media, where not everything can go viral. But when a Karen of any walk of life threatens another being, they make sure justice is served. The camera will always be watching you, especially in the food and service industry where the most abuse of the Karens go. Something to think of before you make the fatal decision between staying sane and becoming a Karen.
And there you have it.
Wow.
Thank you, Mindless
Ooh-wee.
Gonzo. Wow. That was quite the tale.
This guy threw his entire life away because I'm afraid, even though he specified nothing of no peanuts involved in any sort of way, just forgot to tick off or at least notify, hey, I'm ordering this for somebody with an allergy.
Oh,
This
boy.
could have, that little tidbit could have stopped this guy from losing his shit and throwing it all away. I think even Critical even put it at best too.
I think it goes without saying, this would have easily fit in perfectly with, how do I put this? This could have easily fit into r/TIFU.
Oh, man. I have one thing to say about that, and
Go ahead.
honestly, there's no excuse for that kind of behavior in today's society. I mean, yes, the client was right in that his son had a peanut allergy, but I do agree that it could have been handled a lot more gracefully. And, I mean, that was quite shameful. And then throwing it at the employee and then just basically making a complete fool out of themselves is inexcusable in my honest opinion.
Oh, and by the way, what I meant by that is r/today I fluked up.
Ah, I will be looking into that.
You know, I may have to. That gives me an idea for a future segment on TILPC. I may have to do a segment based on today I fluked up. Because there's a lot of stories like that, Gonzo, that I have seen in my day where I watched somebody completely and utterly destroy their lives over something so incredibly stupid, and then they come on social media and say, like, okay, let me explain what happened, because I really screwed up today.
Or the fucking local authorities.
It almost reminds me of Jesse Slaughter's father.
No, yeah, but here's the thing, though. At least Jesse Slaughter's father didn't go off and start using insensitive words that involve someone's race or anything like that. I mean, for Pete's sake, jeez.
No,
Yeah,
they didn't resort to racial slurs, but all the same, it's definitely one that the internet still remembers to this very day.
Yeah,
I'm
and
still
you
trying
know,
to figure out the racial aspect of it because
Oh,
all the girls that I saw in the video and of the interviews, they look like average American girls, though. I don't know where the hell this guy got immigrant loser from.
Yeah, they looked pretty normal to me. They look like they're from here.
you know,
Yeah.
and pardon me for saying this, but I'm only going to use this term one time because we don't want to ever talk about this ever again, but
All right.
it goes without saying, guys. Florida man,
Yeah. Oof.
am I right?
Florida man.
Florida
A little
man.
bit. Even though this took place in Connecticut, way up north. But yeah, I got you.
Florida man can be anywhere at any time.
Just like a Karen.
Just like a Karen. I digress, though, guys, because holy cow, that was something else.
No kidding.
This just made TILPC a lot more interesting.
You know it.
Certainly did.
I basically had fun with that because I took a look at the video and be like, okay, I probably have a little bit of fun with this.
Definitely. And hey, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say this right now to anybody who's in the chat right now or basically in that area. If you have like videos for Gonzo to take a look at, like any kind of Karens or Kevins, feel free to share them in the TILPC section known as Articles of the Now, and definitely show us what you got.
Show us what you find.
And if we
Because
like it, it'll get featured on an episode here on the podcast.
Definitely. Now, with all that in mind, guys, I think it's time we brought some people in.
Yeah, let's
All
take
right.
some calls.
Time.
Alrighty then, with that in mind, Sania,
They ranted on the things you need to be aware of. Now it's your turn. It's time for open mic.
Opera Diva, you are on the Illogical Podcast. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no! Seriously? No, I'm just kidding. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hear
So
you
what's
loud
going
and clear.
on?
Not much.
So, the acquisitions in the last 3 days
I know, right?
is insane.
Oh man, it is.
But this recent one with
Take your time, don't worry.
Bungie?
no. God,
The whole-
no.
The whole thing with
thing here
Microsoft and
didn't- Yeah. For 68 billion?
that is insane.
What in the hell?
It pretty is one of the biggest acquisitions that in recent memory, and actually I'm hoping it goes through because I ended up hearing the FTC is looking into this to make sure it's all legit and everything. So
Mhm. I
here's
mean,
hoping that it is.
that's huge. That would be literally not only just huge, but then that's like a literal hostile takeover.
Hopefully it doesn't go that way.
I mean, think about it though. Microsoft has been buying out so many different platforms as of late,
Yeah, it sounds like Microsoft.
but it's more than usual.
Mm-hmm.
So what is their thinking? I mean, surely they're not making any money on their OS systems anymore, considering, because they've been giving out the free updates to their new, to all their new systems in the last 10 years? First, it was upgrade from Windows Vista to Windows 7. Then it was the free upgrade from Windows 8 to Windows 10.
Right.
So, and now it's like from Windows 10 to Windows 11. They're not making any money on their OSs anymore, which I'm a little confused on because that's how they made most of their money. And also, now that Microsoft has made, like Microsoft Word and all their their programs a yearly subscription, which was not smart in my opinion, because not everybody's going to want to pay a yearly subscription for that. They were still making money when people were actually buying the program. When you kind of see what I'm saying here?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bard?
Although,
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying.
although the OS part being free, terms and conditions apply to that little tidbit because if for some odd reason you have to build your own PC, you do end up having to buy a Windows 10 key to install on your PC.
You know, it's funny. I have a similar thing on mine. I've been trying to get a key for my from my computer, and it's telling me that I don't have a key for that. Like, what?
Ooh.
How does that work?
Makes no sense.
Like I said, well, yeah, it's why I say certain terms and conditions apply. Now, thankfully, not all the time.
No.
When I ended up having to go and get a new laptop because my old one was dying, thankfully, I didn't have to buy a key for Windows 10. It already came installed, and it pretty much just installed. For some reason, I grabbed the wrong damn thing.
That's
Trying
all
to do
right.
something. But anyways, yeah. Not always free, but yeah.
What Gonzo actually says is actually quite true because
Yeah.
while you may actually have the free upgrade available to you on a pre-existing machine, for those of us who build our own custom build machines, whether it's for video editing or gaming or whatever the case, one would actually have to buy a retail key because there is a difference between a retail key and an OEM key. And an OEM key is what comes shipped with your box, as opposed to buying one off of the Microsoft Store or any other place that sells product keys to your liking. And with a retail key, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
Okay, with a retail key, you can deactivate it at any time and use that same key on another machine without the need of buying another product key for your Windows operating system.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But how many people does anybody even really know that build their own computer?
It's not all that often, especially with the chip shortages.
How the hell are they even making money?
Yes, certainly.
Where's their bottom line?
They got other venues though. We also have, come to think of it, Windows phones that are also for sale. I mean, Microsoft does not have to have one reliable source of profit. So they basically can have multiple, and that's how they keep their money's worth.
Yeah, that's very true.
See their full out bottom line because, I mean, I understand with them buying these platforms. Okay, whatever. But their Microsoft phone, which not very people can really afford. So you don't really see very many people buying those. Except for those that, travel all the time. And of course, I have an uncle that traveled all the time, but he's not doing it now. Besides the point.
Right.
But
Regardless of the fact, though, it's like if I'm not mistaken, weren't you a World of Warcraft player at one point?
yeah, well, weird enough, I decided to pick it back up as of yesterday. Like,
Interesting.
I know. But being an avid gamer as I am, My one thing that I was not really happy about when I came back is that all my characters got knocked back to level 45.
Ooh.
And I had characters that were maxed out at 125.
Now, how is that even remotely possible?
I know.
I don't know what Blizzard did, but that's what they did.
Yeesh.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Did all that work over. Let's see. It took me, when I first picked up the game, to get to level 80, it took me 4 months of questing and extreme hard work.
Man.
That's a lot of grinding.
And dungeons.
It's why I was questioning about this earlier, of will this kind of practice, will this kind of practice still happen, even though Microsoft has managed to acquire Activision and Blizzard, or not?
Yeah.
Because for all we know, this huge thing is happening, but we'll be winding up getting the same old bullshit or not. We have to wait and see, and hopefully be wrong that Microsoft might actually whip Activision and Blizzard into shape and say, do realize that the same old bullshit cannot happen anymore. You'll be threatening profits this way. Get your act together.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely the truth.
That means getting all the servers together.
Yeah. It certainly changed the face of how we see things now. And
also, in the last few days, I have noticed T-Bone was playing Destiny. And I'm sorry to go to this, but I've noticed they've had a lot of bugs in this last few updates.
I've noticed that, actually. There's been a lot of instances, and I'm just sitting there scratching my head like, that's not supposed to happen. Why did that enemy just suddenly appear out of thin air? How did I get yeeted across the room?
And by that, too, was what we were running last night.
Yeah, okay, you know what? Since everybody's here in the chat, I might as well tell a funny story. Gonzo, Bard, Yoshi, get ready.
Sure.
So, last night, I actually experienced a bug in the game. I was taking Diva through one of the missions, and what happened was we were at the end of it. We were fighting the final boss and everything. I told her to stay up top while I go downstairs so she can take care of ads while I'm dealing with the boss. I'm looking around for him, and then out of a split second, the boss appears right in front of me when he was like halfway across the map. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm literally running like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god! And
teleportation glitches.
I love teleportation glitches, especially the kind that makes your heart jump up into your throat and you're gonna puke your guts out. And Diva, I swear she could not stop laughing.
His reaction was priceless. I've never heard his voice go so damn high.
Good lord, it sounds to me like I should have been like a YouTube gamer or something like that. I could have had like a face cam or everything, and people are like, "Where's the reaction? Where's the reaction?"
Could have been like Markiplier.
Oh no! I would. Nobody can go near the epicness that is Marky Moo. Never.
No.
Because that man is a god among men.
But who would have known if T-Bone actually was a YouTube gamer? T-Bone 2004's illogical playthroughs? Who knows?
If I have the right build to do so, I could do that. Hell, maybe I should just move to Las Vegas and get me a like a little gaming loft and work with Bard on that.
Good work.
Probably getting Mutant Yoshi, Gonzo, and Blood moved there.
Oh man. Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's getting to the point where it's like the community like that, the YouTube community like that, they can actually get together and like get a little place to do like their streams and everything like that. So, you know, maybe someday down the road. I don't know.
Maybe.
But then again, we got to remember that a majority of the people on the panel all live in different states, and right now with COVID and everything, doing something like that is not the brightest.
Not exactly. Can't be, too scared, but also at the same time, we want to play things safe, and that's pretty much all you'll hear from me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I shall give Rakia her turn. I do apologize about that, but I don't know what happened.
It's totally fine. It is totally fine. I'm really glad to have you on, to say the very least. Also, to have a memory of last night's.
Being able to record that was absolutely funny as hell.
It's interesting because Diva and I live together. So hearing T-Bone's reaction as they're playing, from my end, it gave me a good chuckle too, because it's like, I've never heard him react like that before. So thanks for the good laugh, T-Bone.
Yes, indeed. Well, anyways, Diva, thanks so much for joining us on TLPC. Who knows? Maybe I'll be on Destiny later, or maybe I can call you guys up. We'll see.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks a lot.
Nice having you.
Oh, man. So, there's a little funny story for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to be a little bit of an overreactor. And this is coming from somebody who said the same thing about Blasphemous HD a couple of years ago. Go figure, right?
Yep.
Anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next one. That's going to be Akira-chan. You are on the Illogical Podcast.
Hi.
Welcome. Told you we'd get you on sooner or later.
Well, I'm not as much in tune to the game side of all this. I'm more the PC side because I'm in school currently, and so we've been talking about Microsoft. And they've been trying to do this whole subscription-based model with their operating systems for a while. But I guess in the end, they figured that it doesn't work as well as they think. So I think in the end, with all these game company acquisitions, that it would be a bad idea to take a franchise that may have been on another console and switch it over to your own. It would be better to keep it, if anything, to add it to yours and keep it on both. You're going to really limit your market if you switch it over, and people are going to be very confused.
That's what I was saying at first when I saw that Sony. Like, that was what I was saying first when I saw that Sony bought Bungie. I'm like, oh man, this is not looking good. I had a stinking feeling in my stomach, but then Bungie was like, no, it's cool. We're still going to be independent. We're just now owned by Sony.
Yeah, some people are also, Toast in particular, I've noticed, has been talking about that happening with possibly Call of Duty.
And unfortunately, like I said earlier, that little tweet right there just says, no, not going to happen. But things can change. You never know.
Makes me feel like the gaming community may be a little more negative, you would hope. Or is that exactly how they are?
Well, considering the fact that, like, people have tended to complain in the past about things like, oh, I don't know, the color of Sonic's arms, or something along the lines of voice acting changes and whatnot. I'm not talking about Sonic. I'm talking about Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you complain about the smallest little things, yet you never take time to notice something like the gameplay is busted, the graphics are really terrible, they took a massive dip, or say the controls are busted, or how do I put this?
About something irrelevant.
Or Mutant Yoshi, how did you explain it in your unreleased commentary on Sammy Classic Sonic Fan? You said, like,
Oh yeah, it's the cycle, the Sonic cycle. People complain that the controls suck, so they fix the controls. Turns out the physics are broken. They fix the physics. They don't want a 3D game. They don't want a 3D game. They make a 2D Sonic game. But once again, the controls suck. It goes in a circle.
Wash,
That make more
rinse,
sense,
repeat.
Akia?
What about that Sonic surfing game or whatever it was for the Xbox Connect? Was that well received ever, or did that just go under the radar?
Oh,
I never
no,
even
no,
played
no,
it.
no, no.
We'll talk about that.
Sonic Freeriders? Oh my good lord of mercy. Everyone hates that game. They say that's possibly the worst Sonic game ever released, if not the worst game on the Kinect.
Wasn't it? I think it was also meant to show how the Kinect could work, but the Kinect in general seemed like it didn't work well. So maybe it was too early for its time.
Maybe.
Yeah, still needed to work on it before it could be perfected.
But my last comment on this topic in general is honestly with talking about the state of gaming, we're just gonna. I think we're heading to a point where if a game comes out, it has to be on everything if you truly want to have good sales. I think exclusives eventually may be a thing of the past.
We used to come to that, actually. It's like, like I said, we're not living in the 90s anymore. There is no Super Nintendo and there's no Sega anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not at this point, and I do agree with Akia-chan that if they decided to make those exclusives to their particular brand, that wouldn't exactly be a good business model to engage with potential new gamers who might be interested in these titles. And who knows, the possibilities are endless.
I think it's more so along the lines of games that are meant to be that you'll basically shoot yourself in the foot if you make it exclusive to one console.
Yep.
Oh, I agree.
But as far as like Mario, yes, keep it on Nintendo. You don't need to put Mario on another system. And if you have something that was already exclusive to your system that didn't necessarily rely on multiplayer, yes, I still think those can be exclusive. But as far as games that rely on playing with other people, that's why.
Like Fortnite and
Type.
Destiny 2 and some of the Halo series games.
Overwatch, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Considering the fact that I was about to say Fortnite, but considering the fact that Overwatch is one of the most popular team-based FPS games, if they made it Xbox exclusive, you watch that player base just go.
Yeah. Especially with them trying to release a second one. If they're like, oh, by the way, you have an Xbox, that's where we'll be. And then everyone's be like, what?
You watch the entire Overwatch, you watch the entirety of the Overwatch community go to something like Paladins or Fortnite.
Well, I've actually, that's kind of funny you say that because I haven't really been playing Fortnite as much because I switched over to Overwatch. So, yeah, that's the tea. That's why I haven't been on Fortnite as much.
But that's all right. I haven't been on as much myself. In fact, I'm quite overdue for the most recent update. So that should tell you something. And I actually do enjoy Fortnite for what it is. I mean, but I haven't been on it as much. So, I mean,
I think a big reason why Fortnite is enjoyable as it is you can easily play on whatever you have and still play with your friends who may not have the same console as you.
That's true. That's the beauty of multi-platformers.
Exactly.
Now, if we can only get Nintendo on board to have Destiny 2, that would be quite nice, because then I would be able to play that on the Nintendo Switch, as opposed to install a massive game on my Steam library. Now, mind you, that's not saying I'm not interested at all, because, quite contrary, I am interested in playing Destiny 2.
I think it's more of a hardware issue, because the Switch itself...
That's all it is.
Because even though the OLED has the ability to hardwire yourself in, it doesn't necessarily mean that it seamlessly will stream your gameplay to your TV. There's still Eventually, we'll have some sort of Switch 2. Probably will have a different name. But I personally, out of all these consoles, I've PlayStation Vita and Switch do the best. Like, especially because PlayStation Vita had the Vita TV where you could play some games on the TV. Having a system that you can take with you or play on your TV appeals to me way more than just a system that I would have to be stationary for.
Right.
And that's probably why I'm more out of all of them. The Switch is my main right now.
Hey, rock on.
That, and it's also quite versatile for a console of its time because it's not just a console, it's also a handheld. So it kind of outdoes the Nintendo DS and the Game Boy back when that was still popular.
Oh man, the Game Boy.
Oh,
That was great.
yeah. I had one that was orange and green, and I would get asked, "Oh, what is this? The Shrek edition?" I'm like, "No, it's just the Game Boy SP, the ones that fold in half." I had one of those.
Ah.
Yeah.
I had just a good old fashioned white Game Boy Advance.
Very
I had
nice.
a purple Game Boy Advance.
That's one thing that Nintendo used to do. Lots of colors. Not so much anymore.
No, I had the original Indigo Game Boy Advance, and then I traded it in for a Game Boy Advance SP, and it was a silver one with the little light on the screen, and then I got a metallic, the clamshell one. Then I got a metallic gray one with an actual backlit screen, and I never turned back.
I didn't know that they originally didn't have backlit.
Well, no, it was one of those. Yeah, it was basically a feature, like that was inspired by these mods that people did for the original Game Boy Advance, where it wasn't really a backlight, but it wasn't a front light either. So it was like a purple light, on the screen, and Nintendo incorporated that for their Game Boy Advance SP. Until they made it an actual backlit screen. Finally catching up with things like the PlayStation Portable. I don't say the Game Gear, even though that was ahead of its time, only because its screen was quite flawed.
Oh boy, here we go. Back to Sega again.
Yeah, this whole podcast I've been like, they keep going back to Sega. But
yes, we are.
Honestly, answer this question for me. What have they been making? Like, I know they're known for Sonic, but what have they been making lately? I know they don't make consoles, but what are their game series that is making them still relevant?
Well, there is actually some games that they're still working on. I think they just finished up with Shenmue 3, which everyone has been looking forward to since Shenmue 2. And then there's Phantasy Star Online 2, which they just released a new update called New Genesis, where they basically added a new campaign to the entirety of the story and everything, which honestly, I'm waiting for them to patch up a lot of things with New Genesis, because when I played it for the first time, holy crap, the graphics took a massive beating on how do I say this? My graphics card took a beating from that game, that I had to lower the resolution and everything. Like, good lord, you got to work on that. You got to fix that, because that's going to make it difficult to play. Also, the fact that they took out a lot of things from the original Phantasy Star Online 2, which really, really killed it for me. And I was like, well, I'm going back to Destiny.
I almost picked up that game, but I don't have hardware that can handle it, so that's the only reason I haven't.
Yeah, for some reason we just keep going back to Sega, just like how Hong
True.
Kong 97 keeps linking back to 97.
Oh gosh.
Oh god, no. Mutant Yoshi, I swear.
No.
You know what? Now I got an idea. Thank you, because now I've got an idea for you. I'm gonna put you to work. I'm gonna make you a meme podcast.
A meme cast, if you will.
We'll have to discuss that in a staff meeting after this.
Yes.
Well, gosh, Akia, well, thank you very much for joining us. I got somebody on standby right now, but if you...
That was it. I think I got my point across.
Definitely, it goes without saying. But thanks for joining us. We really enjoyed having you.
Yeah,
All right, well, take it easy.
you as well. Excited to hear the next person.
Oh, yes. And speaking of the next person, oh boy, just as I live and breathe, it had to be Smash Productions.
Let me smash, please.
Oh boy.
All right, we're gonna wait for him to get in here, and then I'll say my line. Smash, we're waiting for you.
All right, let me see. How do we get him in here? Let me see.
We can get him in, that'd be perfect.
Yes, he's raising his hand, so I got to figure out how to respond to that.
Wait, I thought Toast was the one that runs the thing.
Somebody had moved Akia-chan, because I certainly wasn't. And let me see.
That was me.
There we
It was
go.
me. And he's gone.
Ooh.
Oh.
He just up and went and disappeared. But don't
came
worry,
and
we've
went
got
and
editing.
Yes, we've got editing. Also, Akia-chan, that is an awesome looking SP.
Yeah, it is very nice. Very
Well,
nice indeed.
Well done. I am legit impressed with this. Just as I live and breathe, he comes to see me once again. Smash Productions, you are on the Illogical Podcast.
Well, I guess as they always say, you save the best for last, and I think that's the case on this episode. You gotta bring out the best for last, and that's me.
Is that so? The best, huh?
I say so.
Well, what brings you to our humble abode on this cold, dreary night?
Well, I thought I had other plans for today, but I guess not. And
guess
I
your
thought,
plans got
how's my old buddy T-Bone doing?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, considering the fact you're calling yourself Smash 2003 now.
Yeah. You got a problem with that?
Of course not. Just know that 2004 is always better.
Well, have you know, 2003, that was the year I was born.
Nothing tops my 1989.
Well, in that...
89?
89?
1989.
You're old.
I was just barely in preschool in 1989, dude.
I was minus 14 years old.
Wow.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Smash, 2003 was the year that I became a senior in high school.
Wow.
Hence the name 2004. Graduation year.
Yep.
Hi.
Literally the same.
Wow. Hey, class of 2004, pound it.
Pound it.
So, on that note, Smash, what are your thoughts on this whole thing regarding Microsoft getting Activision and Sony getting Bungie and all this crazy nonsense?
Just like, I don't really even see the point at the end of the day, because they both said that they're still gonna be like cross-platform, so I don't really get what you're really gaining by buying like Activision and Blizzard, especially with all the shit that's been thrown their way over the last few years.
Now, you say that there might be some semblance to that. Maybe Microsoft's gonna be like, okay, we're a multi-billion-dollar company, and we've seen what you guys have been doing so well. We're gonna shake things up a little bit. We're gonna get rid of some of you toxic people.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's what. Oh shit! Oh my god! It looks like I'm called. Bye, guys.
Whoops.
What just happened?
That was.
Well, now.
That was unexpected.
I
That was
don't
sudden.
know.
Okay.
Wow.
I Smash. We're gonna keep that. We're not gonna edit that part out.
No, we are keeping that. Thank you. Yes.
Oh wow.
That was a keeper.
Okay.
We did not
Okay.
plan this, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, apparently Akia says his girlfriend got him. Oh boy. So I can imagine what's gonna happen there.
Oh,
Mutant, do I need to call Senia on you?
maybe.
Oh boy, yeah, we'll talk about that later. But for now, though, wow, holy cow! I don't know what to say to that. I honestly do not know what to say to that.
Mind equals blown.
Well,
I'm not sure what to say to that.
well,
Chippy, I mean.
yeah. Oh god, the memes! I swear. Yeah, eventually we're gonna have to set up a meme cast for Mutant Yoshi,
We
so he
have
can do
to.
some. So, who would like to see that? Who would like to see Mutant Yoshi's meme cast?
Leave a comment down below in the chat, and we'll get back to you on that.
Wait a minute. I was about to say, leave a comment down below. Like, this isn't YouTube. Well, wait a minute. Actually, yeah, this will be on YouTube eventually.
Eventually.
Well, with that prospect in mind, I also want to remind people of something here. I mentioned Senia, and you all know that I'm still looking for questions for her, and I'm going to go ahead and specify this right here and right now. Once I get to 10 questions, I am actually going to bring on the voice actress behind Senia that you've heard throughout this episode. That, of course, being the great Trina Deuhart. Once we get 10 questions, I am going to be working with her personally to record answers for Senia. And who knows, maybe if this works out, I might actually have Trina Deuhart actually on an episode of TILPC.
That sounds neat.
Harkening back to
Go ahead.
Harkening back to the day that me and Blisterblood pulled off a miracle and got somebody involved in TILPC almost 10 years ago.
Wow. And when that does happen, we are genuinely looking forward to seeing that happen.
Hey, Blistered. Remember getting Rena Chan on here 10 years ago?
Oh, I do.
I remember.
So, suffice to say, this won't be the last time we would be getting a voice actress on our show. Believe me, that day is coming again.
And when it does, we'll be letting you know.
And the good news about it is, this time around, there won't be any stupid snipers pulling them in, if you know what I mean.
No.
Not at all.
Because we all know how that happened. But enough about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really. So, like I said, if you got questions for Senia, bring them on. I need about 4 more maybe. I don't know. I almost called you that. Get with Blind Bard, and he will hook us up. But on that note, I'm afraid it's time for us to pull the plug and call it a night here. So, let me just start off by saying thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being part of the chat, and especially those who jumped in and got their calls in and listened in no matter what. Because, hey, you know what? I appreciate you guys for coming out no matter what. And like I said, you guys are what make TILPC possible. And just to give you an idea of what's coming next time around, Gonzo, what is this about a Karen starting a riot?
This, I'm gonna have to look into to see what all started, and I will let you know. And if not, I may have another Karen story. We'll see.
Oh my, this is interesting. I'm legit interested. Who knows? Maybe you'll see that on a future episode of TILPC. We shall see. But for now, though, I think it's time we jet on out of here. So, once again, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. And believe me when I say this, when this goes live on YouTube, I hope you'll be there for the premiere. So until then, mindless Gonzo.
Yes.
Mutant Yoshi.
Stay cool.
Blood.
You know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
God damn it.
And the perfect fifth.
Hello again, and we all look forward to seeing you next time on the next Illogical Podcast.
And if I may throw one little thing out, for our perfect fifth, by the way, be sure to check out his podcast, the Roasty Toasty Podcast, where they play Fortnite and have a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, T-Bone.
Not a problem there, perfect fifth. And with that, I'm T-Bone 2004 reminding you to stay logical, folks. And remember, as always, when we go live, we go live. Sania, take us home.
Thanks for tuning in to the Illogical Podcast, where they rant about things no one else will. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for updates on future episodes. And be sure to like and share the show if you enjoyed it. And hey, the show may be over, but I'm still here, and I enjoy your company, yeah?